Shalom, brothers and sisters. Okay, so let's take a moment and talk about how serious is this whole nuclear threat that's going around. Because you know what, when you speak to people in the world or lukewarm Christians, even they'll tell you nothing's going to happen. They'll repeat to you exactly what mainstream media has said to them, and there's nothing to stress about. It's all rubbish. It's happened before. It's going to happen again. Well, it actually hasn't, and it's never been this tense ever. So let's just run through a few facts that bring you up to speed with where we're at with the whole nuclear situation. In recent weeks, Putin has looked to ramp up the threats and language surrounding the nuclear arsenals, right? Just this week, a bombshell report claimed that Putin warned billionaire Elon Musk that he would use nukes if Ukraine tried to take Crimea. Directly after that, Elon Musk rejected a request from Ukraine to switch on his satellite internet service over Russian-occupied Crimea. He fears that allowing the Ukrainian Starlink coverage over that region will pave the way to nuclear war, and he doesn't want that connected to his name. Earlier this month, Putin promoted violent warlord Ramzan Kadyrov, who demanded Russia nuke Ukraine, to the position of general. So the guy who's demanding they use nukes is now a general. Okay. He's also positioned his ruthless General Armageddon, Sergei Surovkin, as head of the armed forces. The general, infamous for his merciless carpet bombing of Syria, is believed to be responsible for the last week's indiscriminate shelling of civilian targets in Ukraine, because that's pretty much exactly how he operated in Syria. The West has warned that nuclear threats by Vladimir Putin should be taken seriously, but that they will not be intimidated, with NATO allies scheduled to carry out a joint nuclear deterrence next month. The Russian president has said he's willing to use all means available to protect Russian territory, which includes the 4 new territories that were annexed. In Europe, the threat is deemed serious by European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, Russia owns 5,977 nuclear warheads, the highest in the world, although 1,500 are retired warheads awaiting dismantlement. So let me just clarify, not dismantled, awaiting, so they're quite viable. All right, some 1,588 are deployed, which means they're placed on missiles or located on bases with operational forces. In Europe, France and the UK are the only countries with nuclear weapons, and together they're estimated to have 515 nuclear warheads, of which 400 are deployed. The US has an estimated 100 nuclear warheads stored across Europe on air bases in Belgium, Germany, Italy, Netherlands, and Turkey. You can write the ones in Turkey off, according to the Center for Arms Control. These are among the 5,428 nuclear warheads the US owns, of which 3,708 are operational and the rest meant to be dismantled. Then, if that's not enough of how many warheads are lying around ready to be used by trigger-happy leaders that are all stressed right now, Zelensky has told NATO they should strike Russia first to show what would happen if he tried anything. Now, I just want to remind you people, not a lot of people remind you, that Zelensky used to be a comedian and an actor. He doesn't have decades and decades of political experience and negotiations and understanding the bigger picture. And as much as the media has turned him into a hero, the advice of the comedian running Ukraine is smack Russia first so that they see what's coming. Really? You're going to punch the bear first. You don't think that's going to be a negative reactment right after that. Okay, so let's look at signs that the US is gearing up for a worst case scenario. Number one, President Biden himself spoke of Armageddon during a speech last week. We covered that. Number two, a new HHS press release detailed a recent $290 million government purchase of anti-radiation medicine, This is not the normal iodine pills. This is medicine that needs to be refrigerated and it will expire within the next 18 months. $290 million, which means they fully 150% believe there will be a nuclear exchange. They're getting the good stuff, just to be sure. Third, the state of Delaware announced it will be handing out free potassium iodine tablets to residents from October the 13th. Fourth, New York, back in July, the Hal Turner radio show told listeners and readers that the New York City Emergency Management issued a public service announcement for TV telling New Yorkers what to do when a nuclear bomb hits the city. Then, New York posted nuclear attack warning signs in their subway cars. Fifth, New Jersey began warning the population of nuclear emergencies with large poster boards inside shopping malls. Then in September, New Jersey placed giant ads on the sides of all New Jersey transit buses with the same warnings and instructions. So, do you think America doesn't think it's really going to happen? As much as Biden likes to every now and then say nothing's going to happen, look at the actions. Follow the money. Okay, so the UK, let's go international then. Prepare for doomsday. Urgent call for radiation pills and survival training for every family, as Britain is woefully unprepared for nuclear war. RIT families have been urged to stockpile supplies, while the government should distribute radiation-fighting iodine tablets to households. Defense experts were warning. Amid soaring tensions with Russia, British Army veterans and academics on disaster response warned the UK is woefully unprepared for tackling any form of Russian strike, whether nuclear, high-speed missile, or even cyber attack. Then pharmacies in Finland have run out of iodine pills since Wednesday this week, a day after the country's health ministry recommended that households each buy a single dose in case of a radiation emergency. When Russia-Ukraine went hot, the whole nuclear issue, Romania knew what was coming and began handing out potassium iodide pills to all of its citizens. Poland began handing out potassium iodide pills to its citizens weeks ago. And in April, the European Commission began construction of a nuclear blast facility for itself. Governments don't do things like this for no reason. Does it sound like nothing's going to happen? If you look at all the preparations, the pills, the medicines, the bunkers being built, do you really think there's going to be no nuclear exchange coming forthwith? The reason governments are planning is they're usually behind it. It's part of the plan, it's part of their process, it's part of bringing about their beast system, chaos, control, and causing everything to spiral further. Why they're not telling the general public openly is they're trying to avoid panic until it's too late to panic. So Joe Soap on the street, to their own detriment, doesn't believe anything's coming or anything's going to happen. And that's the way it's going to be. Now, on top of that, you got to wonder to yourself, is America ready if there was an attack on their homeland, or anywhere else for that matter, with Chinese or Russian boots on the ground? Then you got to look at the fact that Biden is on purpose depleting the strategic oil reserve of the US. That's the lowest it's been in 40 years. Now, that oil reserve was full just a few years ago, and that strategic oil reserve is actually kept for the military when they need it. So let's get rid of it quickly, so that when the military needs it, there's nothing. Then the military can't do their jobs. So no, people, it's all part of the plan. Again, lots of references in the Bible about nuclear war that's coming and how all these things that, the mountains melting and everything. No, it's definitely coming. Do we need to fear? No. We trust in the Lord God Almighty, who's in charge of all things. There are plenty of rapture dreams or visions. When the nukes come down, we go up. No matter what it is, I'm ready and able to fully place my trust in the one and only true God. And when I lived by the sea, There were lots of stories and talks about, what if a tidal wave comes? What will you do? Have you mapped out your exit routes and how you're going to flee? And I told them what I'm going to tell you now. If I see a tidal wave coming, I'm not going to spend the last few minutes of my life running and screaming and tired. I'm going to sit down with my family and I'm going to enjoy the view. I'll probably go live and talk about God, and I'm going to relax because I trust in the Lord, and I'm definitely not going to die tired. It doesn't make me stupid. It just means I have no fear to go running and screaming in all directions, knowing it's not going to make a difference. So about nuclear war and attacks and things like that, if you're in a targeted zone or somewhere where you think could get hit, don't fear the bombs. Fear the living God. Make a relationship with Him. Get your lives right with Jesus. To live is Christ, to die is gain, because then we are ever with the Lord. There is no reason to fear. Until we meet with the Lord in the clouds, we will pray for each other, support each other, and not allow the devil or the world to drive up the fear factor. Fear factor doesn't work on true believers. We believe in the one true God, and fear is not of God. So stay strong, keep smiling, encourage each other about the blessed hope, and keep watching. God bless. Shalom.